Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. What a 24 hours it has been in the Call of Duty world. The sniper gentleman's agreement we discussed yesterday seems to have been backtracked on by the pro players after the community backlash. Loads of drama hitting the timeline last night. At least it seems we will see snipers at the kickoff classic after the backlash from the community. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button, it's the best thing you can do. Top of the channel, reach new people. Please do subscribe as well if you have not yet already. Thanks to all the new subs yesterday. First of all, let's talk Boston Breach, finally confirming their roster here for 2022. And great video, to be honest. I'm frankly really impressed. The fact that Boston Breach have turned around what is kind of a nice brand, and well, some nice really features to the brand within pretty much a month and a half. I think that they really came in at the start of December. By the middle of January, they've got a brand, you know, people will talk about the logo, whether it looks like it's been made on Microsoft Paint or whatever, but I'm sure it'll grow on people as a lot of other logos have. And frankly, I kind of like it. I wonder what color scheme they'll exactly go for, because of course it is black and green, but you know, in the matches, will they go for black? Will they go for this kind of green color? Because it's obviously kind of similar to the Optic colors. It might be kind of interesting if they play each other, what colors they go for. I thought this is kind of funny really, because the other guys on the team are relatively short in stature, and then they've got Capsidel, who I believe is 6'4", and as he comes through the kind of door right here, I thought it was pretty funny, because this guy looks like an absolute unit, right? He genuinely looks like the Undertaker, which is just you know, it's just fantastic. Like you know, he's going to give Ilya a run for his money in this right here. So well, anyway, 12 team of the CDL. These are the guys: Capsidel, TJ, Methods, and of course Nero. They've been looking really good in scrims as of late. Really excited to see how these guys get on this season. I think certainly at the kickoff and the start of the season, they should be, well, not exactly one of the favourites, but certainly up there. Most people say, at least of the teams that have practiced against these guys, they're really good right now. Whether that can maintain the entire season with other teams maybe getting better, with theoretically more talent on their roster, that remains to be seen. But I'm really impressed with what Boston has done, frankly, given that they've come in very quickly and they've actually put a team together that seems to be very competent on paper. Great back-end staff, it seems, as well. So really excited about this roster. As well, Zero says, choose your fighter, right? You got Capsule right here, Ilya on the left-hand side. Going to be an exciting battle, I'm sure, between these guys across the season. And well, let's just dive into the incredible chaos, really, that's gone down these last, well, 48 hours, really. And as Clayster says, been an interesting couple of days. So, of course, yesterday we talked about that the pro players want to get rid of the snipers once again, and the frustration really that came as a result of that. The pro players, it wasn't really clear, to be honest, what reason they were using for why snipers had to be gone once again. And in reality, the snipers are probably way worse in this game than they have been in the years prior to Cold War. Like Modern Warfare 2019, they were pretty good. They reused that year with pretty much no complaints. So the current standard that is being used is kind of an interesting one. And of course, the fans were not happy about it, right? And understandably so. The fans never get to vote in any of this type of stuff. The pros seem to just decide this stuff in a Twitter DM on a whim. And, you know, of course, the frustrations were running pretty hot. And a lot of the pro players were, at least according to some guys, taking to the timeline to say, oh, yeah, it wasn't me, like it wasn't my fault, all this type of stuff. Whereas behind the scenes, had actually voted for it, doing it a bit of fan service in that sense. So as Crimsix says, at least Envoy is kind of blatant about the reason why he doesn't want snipers to be in the game. I think we found the culprit, says Crimsix. Cheesy, free AWP, no competitive support, he says. Some, you know, saying it's basically as good as an AWP and AWP in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. One shot, one kill, no problem at all. Of course, in CS, you have to pay $4,750 to get yourself an AWP. In this game, you don't have to, you know, there's no economy system, right? You can just pick it up. But at the end of the day, if there was just, you know, if the GA was that only one player on a team could use a sniper, then that probably seems reasonable. And I'm not really sure the sniper is, well, we haven't seen proof that it's too good not to be used, which is why a lot of people have said, they're like, look, just use it at the kickoff classic. It's a meaningless event. Let's see how things play out on LAN before the pros just go away and GA it for S&D scrims that we haven't even been able to see because they haven't behind the scenes off stream. So, well, anyway, this is kind of how things have been going the last day or so. Now, Clayster kind of continues here. This was kind of, well, difficult to actually decipher what Clayster means, but this really kicked off the second day of drama on the issue. Give pros 2 months to figure out how to make a broken game semi-playable for 9 months of the season, and everyone loses their minds that Simp can't win 2 S&Ds by himself. So what he's saying is basically, the game is so bad, the pros have done their best to make it playable and I guess watchable, and that may include getting rid of the snipers. Now, that's kind of what Simp winning Search and Destroys by himself, I guess, with the sniper in hand. Now, he's not necessarily talking about Simp specifically here as the reason why they got rid of it, but, you know, super balanced and fair, great game. Glad to be part of this thriving, welcoming, wholesome community. But, you know, it's kind of interesting the fact that he says this last bit, because a lot of people would say that it's actually the pros that have been incredibly condescending, frankly, the last day or so to the fans who apparently have no idea what they're talking about, right? Even though, like, you know, 99% of pretty much everyone who plays Call of Duty and actually watches it competitively wants to have snipers in the game, like, apart from, you know, the pro players, right? Pretty much everyone, all the fans, all the streamers, all the content creators, everyone, apart from the pros, want snipers in. So it's definitely been an interesting discussion the last last day or so. As Clay says, right, he's always kind of said this, he wants to play the game out of the box. He doesn't want it played with GAs, but maybe this one is necessary, right? Interesting, he basically mutes the tweet and doesn't really reply to it all that much further, but Clayster does give this as a reason that the smoke grenade, like this is what we discussed yesterday. If the smoke can be one way, which is obviously kind of dodgy, it's a bit broken, we have to get rid of smokes. If we get rid of smokes, snipers reign supreme. If snipers OP, we have to get rid of them, right? Which is of course the discussion that was made in Cold War, but then yesterday we heard that smokes actually weren't getting GA'd. So, I don't really understand what's going on here, frankly, with the smoke gentleman's agreement, and even then, right, there's arguments that, okay, well, stuns, nades, they're very strong in this game. If you play tactically around, like maybe you can avoid the sniper in certain situations. If there's only one on the map, you can like figure out where he's going to be, go to the other bomb site. There's ways to work around it, I guess, rather than just getting rid of it entirely. So some are saying that it's the smokes that are to blame, and then others are saying that it's actually the auto-aim on the snipers, right? The aim assist is so strong nowadays. I'm pretty sure in Black Ops 4 there was no aim assist on the snipers, and Simp says snipers without auto-aim are just straight up better than without them, right? And that's kind of the discussion that was then being had, and I tweeted this out, right? I didn't really intend to spark any kind of, talk about it, but it kind of did. But I feel like even if aim assist was turned off on the snipers, then, pros would still come up with a new reason, because even if it was in Cold War that they were got rid of, people would still say, the one-shot kill range is too high, like, somehow it's too easy. Like, I still feel like some pros would make the argument, even if aim assist was gone, even if smokes were in, to still keep them out of the game. And I do wonder whether the CDL should step in on some of this stuff, right? Because, of course, the fans don't get a vote on any of these issues. It's the pros that decide it kind of behind the scenes, and the CDL just kind of sits there and takes it, really. And it's kind of like when the pillars of your community, as the CDL put it, the pros, the amateurs, and then the community, when the fans themselves are really at odds with the pro players, then maybe the CDL has to say, okay, like, how are we actually going to deal with this GA stuff going forwards? Is there going to be some sort of committee? Does it have to be justified to some degree? How do we view the voting process? Like, surely the CDL should consider being involved to some degree or another. But as Slasher says, his argument is kind of like, the game is terrible already, like, we're trying to do our best to make it work. But, and as he says, people saying the pros are ruining the viewing experience, but haven't even watched a Bakaj hardpoint, right? So I guess the argument here is, the game's already so bad, why not even make it less watchable with, with snipers being gone as well? So I can't really, fully piece together the argument, right? Because as Chance says, his reply I think was kind of good here, are people saying ruining or just not salvaging, right? It's kind of like, yes, the game might not be great, but we're expecting, or at least hoping, the pros can do their best to salvage the viewing experience, because at the end of the day, if nobody watches, they don't have a job. So there's always that argument that goes in as well. At least they have a job in the short term, but in the next couple of years, and maybe things go completely off a cliff. So I thought this is an interesting argument, really. And then, of course, the discussion was being had between the pros. Okay, well, the backlash has been so extreme from all the fans, and also some of the pro players have now, come out and said that, look, okay, maybe they weren't for it in the first place either. And then Illy comes out with this, right? So he's definitely in favour of keeping snipers in the game at /AL. He wants to start playing some chess right here. And anyway, it seems like things start to go the other direction. So as Clayster tweets out, honestly, just let them in. My teammate is gross. Is that nice little clip really from Hydra with the sniper in hand back in the Modern Warfare days. And anyway, a lot of players are saying, okay, maybe actually we put them back in. So that was the suggestion that was being had. What if they're just used at least for the kickoff classic, so we can see some search and destroy action with snipers in play, and at least then, like, look, if snipers are way too strong, which I don't really think they are, but if they are, then at least we can see some evidence of it and have some decent reason where we can, okay, in certain situations, maybe aim assist does need to go. But and still, if we just have to kind of trust the pro's word for it, then obviously that's going to create some frustrations. So it seems like the GA is now being reversed, as RC says, speaking for Atlanta FaZe, we don't care if a sniper's in or out, we were just annoyed people switched after it becoming public. So saying that some of the pros kind of agreed with the GA behind the scenes, and then when it became public, maybe the guys on Minnesota or Optic or whatever, who were pretty publicly saying that they were against it, were in fact voting for it behind the scenes, as Jacob says, unanimous vote, but gotta do a little fan service after the fact to make it seem like you're the good guy, and it is everyone else's fault. And as Clayster says, the whole pro community got cyberbullied, right? So it seems like the fans mean, congratulations everyone, we've successfully pushed the pros to, backtrack at least a little bit on what they said they were going to do, is get rid of, get rid of the snipers entirely. So I guess this should be a positive, right? At the end of the day, there's a LAN event just coming up. Who knows how snipers are going to play on LAN? There's always this talk, right, between the pros. Okay, there's online COD, there's LAN COD. It's very different. Who knows if the MP40 and the auto or whatever guns they're using are just so good on LAN that the sniper bullet, one shot, one kill of the sniper actually isn't so much of a big deal, because the MP40 kills so quick that, if you miss one shot, or if you're caught not aiming down sight already, then you're just going to die immediately. So maybe there's, LAN, it could play different, right? So I think it's at least worth a go, especially at a LAN event that doesn't really mean anything, all things considered, and people are still testing out the community. So Simp says, pros just trying to make the best out of a bad situation this year. I'm sure we'll see snipers now that everyone is raged. I guess I'm back, he says. And Slasher says, are they folding in the chat? Clayster says, maybe the House of Cards is coming down. So the pros seem to be starting to backtrack on this issue, and then as well, Simp then tweets out, yes, snipers are officially back, and I'm pretty sure this wasn't sarcasm either, because Methods goes on to explain, I'll share the clip just as we round out the video, that, you know, the pros, I believe, are going to bring it back at least for the Kickoff Classic. So at least we get to see probably like 20 plus search and destroy maps with snipers in the game, and then if pros really want to still GA it, they're like, well, they'll have to justify it based on the clips that we saw at that event, and at least we'll actually have the opportunity to see, rather than, you know, just have to take their word for it, I guess. So I'm still not sure the pros should just be able to decide on their own whim, right? And it's kind of, it would be interesting if the CDL says, okay, hang on a second, maybe we need to work out a way to actually make this work going forwards, but, you know, I guess we'll see if they do another community update at some point or another, but certainly an interesting discussion, I thought. This is kind of what Kevy suggested as well, right? You know, what if you explore that in the kickoff with the pressure off? If they are clearly incredibly overpowered, then it's got to go, but, you know, that's the thing. I hope there isn't like someone gets a crazy two-piece and all of a sudden all the pros are on Twitter be like, oh, you know, this is where it has to go. Like, you know, we've seen these in the past, right? It's not exactly anything crazy, but, you know, we'll have to look at some of the KD performances and stuff if the players with the snipers are just dominating. But then again, at the same time, it could be considered a skill gap. If you've got Simp and the other guy doesn't have Simp and doesn't have as good a sniper as Simp is, then all of a sudden, like, there's a skill gap there, right? For the team that has the better sniper. If one player was allowed to use a sniper on a team, both players have the same overpowered weapon, like, you know, what's really the big deal? Just a frustrating situation, frankly. This also, I thought, because I thought Benjay and Asim, frankly, made a very good point, a very straightforward point. All of these things can be true. There are competitive considerations when the sniper has aim assist and is easy to use. Gameplay is way better to watch with snipers in, and the current GA process in a Twitter DM is not transparent and does not allow for any real debate on decisions. So, well, this seems very reasonable from Ben, frankly. For some reason, RJ over at FaZe, one of their coaches, like, he just comes out and straight up flames Ben, like, spawn in plays, just dumb giving takes when you haven't seen a sniper in action, and have logged maybe 20 minutes in Vanguard. Of course, you know, kind of funny in a way for RJ, you know, the coach to be saying to spawn in plays or whatever. But, yeah, I just thought I was kind of surprised, frankly, that, you know, it was really getting heated as a result of this, even though I thought Ben, frankly, was making some very reasonable points. He agreed that, yes, the snipers could be too strong in certain situations, but, you know, and then for some reason, everything just, well, keeps completely popping off. So people weren't particularly happy about this, and, well, just a couple of nice little sniper clips here to finish out with, or, well, this one especially from Dashy, but also the Methods clip I'll just share as we finish out the video. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting that like button tells you YouTube gods this is a good video, and as like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thanks for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
And then I guess we could just kind of end it off with this. Tony, I'm going to ask you this question. Are snipers in or out? What's going on here?
I think for right now they're in, and I want to say this publicly because I believe there's like a huge disconnect here. The pros want to play the best possible version of the game every single day. The last thing any pro wants to do is sacrifice the viewer's experience to make the game less fun, right? Like, I understand the frustration with certain decisions. The only thing I'll say is I think it comes from a good place. It's not a, yo, let's make the game boring to watch. It's let's play the most competitive game possible. And so I think for the Kickoff Classic, we're going to use snipers, see how it goes.